Morning, everyone. This is Russell Rucker. I'm here for another constitutional talk. Now, if you're new here, I'd like you to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss some of the important things we're talking about. Now, what I want to talk about today is going all the way back to the beginning of our republic to John Hancock. I thought we'd discuss Mr. Hancock a little bit. He was born January 23rd, 1773, and he is buried over at Boston's Granary. He served 2 terms in the Continental Congress, both the first and second Continental Congress. But going back to the beginning of his childhood, his father passed away early, and he was sent to live with his aunt and uncle. Now, his aunt and uncle were big importers, exporters. They owned the house of Hancock. Okay, so he was sent to his uncle, and his uncle taught him the entire trade of importing and exporting. But by 1764, he had passed away, and he inherited his uncle's business. It was vast holdings. He had slaves and everything. The slaves were sold upon his death. There was a provision that they must be sold, and so John Hancock never actually owned any of the slaves. They were sold through his will. But John Hancock liked to flaunt his money, and he'd travel around in his coach in the finest silk clothes and gold-laden coach that he had, and really flaunting the money he had. He was elected as Boston selectman, which made him one of the most powerful men of the day. His ship Liberty was a sloop, and he used for importing, and through one of the problems with the British, it was actually seized, and he was charged with smuggling, and it caused a riot. When the ship wound up, wasn't turned, and hauled off to an island in the harbor. Later, it was burned by the colonists because they were using the ship Liberty to target other people bringing goods in. When you get into when you're elected to the first Continental Congress, and then he was brought back for the second. And the second Continental Congress was where the Declaration of Independence was promoted and written. The Committee of 5 wrote it. Randolph of Virginia made a motion to push for it. So, about that time, the president of the Congress, Peyton Randolph, resigned and left, which led for a new election of the president of the Second Continental Congress, and they elected John Hancock as president. Now, there's the story about the Declaration of Independence being signed and his name being the largest on there, and the story goes that he signed it large enough that King George could read it without his signature. But it's just also as plausible that he didn't sign it at all, that it was printed came that way from the printer. And then because he was president of the Continental Congress, they just naturally assumed that he would sign it, so they placed his name there. And that could be the reason why it's so large there too. And it's something that we probably aren't really going to know. He was also one of the first signers of the Articles of Confederation. He signed it 3 years before its ratification. One of the first to sign it. Now, why do I bring up John Hancock? Well, I bring him up because he is an important founder, and he was one of the reasons they were looking. They had the warrants for him and Samuel Adams. Samuel Adams and Hancock were related to one another, and they worked together for liberty. And they were both out there in Lexington, I believe it was, staying during the battles of Lexington and Concord. It was one of the principal reasons why the British left Boston to begin with. They were trying to recoup stores of ammunition and armaments that had been taken. See, at one point, some of the cannon that were held in Boston had been seized one night and taken, and they were trying to recover these cannon along with the ammunitions, and for good measure arrest Samuel Adams and John Hancock. They were pretty well working together. John Hancock was aiding in the rebellion down in Boston, using his House of Hancock to bring in arms and ammunition for the Sons of Liberty and the colonists that were fighting in the rebellion. So he was an important character. And this really is what why I want to bring this up today, because I think it's important to understand where we came from and what we were actually doing. You know, we were fighting in liberty. So was John Hancock, who's one of the principal leaders in this fight. And with that, I hope you have a little better understanding of Mr. Hancock, and as we go through some of these people, you get a better understanding of where we're all from in this. So with that, have a good day. We'll catch you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. Bye for now.